Yeah, something for the other guys which are not joining today,
Sure.
but maybe also highly interested in what we are talking about and to maybe what conclusion we will come. And yeah, so let's start.
Well, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to me about this. I'm kind of excited because there's a lot that can happen if we work together. I think, and as you mentioned before, it's just a matter of I guess probably just a matter of identifying any possible problems or stumbling blocks that get in our way.
Yeah, so same to me. I'm also very excited. Thank you for your time. And yeah, I think in general we have already the same direction, and well, what we need, I think, is a bit of adjustment of how we see special things or what's in the focus of our development or even what we are doing. So I think there's the biggest shift between yeah, what your main focus is on and the main focus of AG Meinungsfindungstool. So what I got from your emails and the readings is um, that or you let me put it the other way around. So what you're interested in is to agree on the elimination of the network effect. And first of all, that's not a term we are very used to here in Germany. So may you do me the favor to explain in some short sentences what do you mean by the network effect?
Sure. The classic example they always use is a telephone network, and here in North America, for example, there was the Bell telephone network for over a century, I think, and everybody subscribed to that network, and they could call each other, of course. The way the network effect works there is when you have another carrier, not Bell, but some smaller carrier, people can't actually use that network because there's nobody to call because it doesn't have very many subscribers. So everybody uses Bell, the Bell network, which of course becomes a de facto monopoly. And so that's the network effect. But today with deregulation and all, it no longer matters how big the carrier is. You can call just as many people from a small carrier as you can from the big Bell carrier network.
So
And
because they have introduced interfaces to interconnect their networks.
yeah, I don't know a lot about how it works at the bottom level, but Bell has to share its last mile connections, or its copper, with the other carriers who can then set up trunk networks or something. But basically, because it no longer matters how big the carrier is, there's no disadvantage. There's no disadvantage to the subscribers to the smaller carriers, and the network effect has been eliminated. People can move from carrier to carrier based on their preference and price and things like this. So that's a case where the network effect has been eliminated.
Okay, so to reckon this, the network effect is always bound to some sort of infrastructure. So doesn't necessarily need to be a physical infrastructure, but can also be a concept or idea. But the network effect is always bound to something like an infrastructure. Is it right?
Yes, I guess I've only heard examples from communication infrastructure, but basically that's true, and it just means that the utility or the usefulness of the service or network or whatever is linked to how many people use it, and it depends on that. So if there aren't many users, then the utility drops way down, and that's basically what the network effect is.
Okay, so I think I do understand this. The question is, so from my perspective, currently, what we have is a situation with multiple different tools or platforms or ideas or visions or whatever, all having the problem, or all having just a small amount of users supporting their idea, platform, tooling, whatever. So this is so everyone sits in its own network effect, so it seems. Is it do you see it equally or the same?
I guess the concern of the network effect is more here. Not so much, gathering users, sure. That wouldn't be the first thing I think of when I think of eliminating network effect. It would bring more users, although it would. But my mind immediately goes to the ability of the user to now choose which tool they want to use. So you get two position-forming platforms, whatever they might be, Votorola Adhocracy or Votorola Liquid Feedback, if you want to use that example, or any two position-forming or what I call primary voting platforms. They eliminate the network between them, and now the users can choose whichever one they want. And this to me is pretty much what the AG, what you guys were working on right from the beginning.
That's true. So because we recognize that this is absolutely necessary and is currently not in place. So from our perspective, or from our point of view, every project, platform, tooling, methodology, however you name it, works in its own area and with its own users, and so there's no much cooperation currently in between the different projects. So this is what AG Meinungsfindungstool would like to overcome. So we are not mainly focused on methodology or how to implement a special method of primary voting or whatever discussion methodology is we can thought about, but from our perspective, our point of view is that's the most important, first to get all those different projects to work together and to collaborate, and this is what we want to achieve. That's our goal.
And I think I understand how you guys work, and you're concerned, of course, that different tools for different purposes cooperate. Am I correct? So just to give an example of things that I'm familiar with is, say, specifically a voting tool and a drafting tool. These are just the two that come to mind, but maybe you have different breakdowns. So these different tools that are for different purposes, of course, now can integrate or connect to each other. And is that what you were just saying?
Yeah, that's kind of true. So we started to think about what is necessary to have a good discussion. So on mailing lists or in forums, on news groups, there's a lot of discussion going on, but there are no results. So most often the energy put into those discussions is burned, and nothing comes out. So the output is near to zero. And
Right.
we started to think about how to improve that. And after a short while, we recognized that it's not just about discussion, but it's about the whole process of decision making itself. And this is just will send you the link to our big picture in Mumble. And this is this should illustrate what our context we are thinking in is all about. So we are thinking of the whole decision-making process, and even if the position forming is our, let's say, main focus, we also want to collaborate with all the others participating this process of decision-making. And so for us,
Sure.
it's this trias or this three-folded stuff between the information system, the discussion system, and the resolution system. And all these systems are there to help the users to make their decisions. And we would like to see all those systems to collaborate and to interact and to share their data and to transform and transfer their data back and forth so that there's no loss of data anymore. And so this is the big picture of our vision. And Votorola, for example, you placed it yourself in the discussion system area. And if that's true, then it's okay. And so it's up to the tool developers. We call them just plugins.
Sorry, Mark. I lost you for about 30 seconds there. If you could step back, my computer froze on me and I couldn't hear your voice.
Okay, so I'm just talking about that you placed
the big picture.
Yeah, and that you placed Votorola sometimes, or not sometimes, a short while ago. You placed it yourself in the position forming area and marked it as a discussion system.
Number two, yeah.
Yeah, so that's okay from our perspective, and it's up to the developers to place their so for us it's the tools are called plugins because the whole infrastructure which are interconnecting those three systems from our perspective is called a framework, or should be like a framework. And so there are just plugins which enabling and enhancing the framework to fulfill the decision-making process in a whole.
Sure. And can the user choose which? Say there's two different alternative plugins for some particular function. Can the user choose which plugin?
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's kind of the thing that I'm concerned with, is that the user be able to freely move from one particular function, one particular component to another with complete freedom of choice.
Absolutely. So from our point of view, it's all about the users, and from two perspectives. So first perspective is the user itself. The user itself needs and should to be free in its choice of the tool set he wants. And the second perspective is from the tool developers or the plugin developers, which also needed users, as you pointed. So you said, okay, what is also a problem is to attract users and to have a user community using your tool.
Right.
And this is from our point of view, it's going hand in hand. So when we enable all plugins to collaborate with each other, then they also share the data and they also share the users. So we have a double win situation. On the one hand, the users can can freely choose whatever tool they want, and on the other hand, the tools themselves benefit from more users than they ever could gain for their own, for example. So it's a win-win situation.
Right, but provided only that you eliminate the network effect.
As far as I understand, so the email from Alex is it's interesting in some respect, because what he stated was that the network effect is always there, and at least we also want to benefit from the network effect. But in our case, the network effect will lead to the situation that the openness of our solution will suppress the closed solutions. So every solution which will not participate in our solution is a closed one. And
But Mark, wait a sec, just a moment, because Alex agreed that he was wrong that the network effect is always there. Because, for example, it's been eliminated in the telephone networks in North America, and I'm sure in Germany.
Okay, then I skipped this, and I didn't recognize this. Okay, so
this might not have gone to the AG mailing list, because we were talking about the network effects as well in an American mailing list, and I don't think we CC'd your list, so you might have missed that one. But for example, it is eliminated in the telephone networks, and if you don't eliminate it, then the promise that you offer that a user can choose their own plugin for a particular functionality is false whenever the network effect applies to that functionality. It doesn't apply to all things. There's only certain things that have a network effect. But when it's there, the user no longer has any choice.
Okay, so then we need to dig a bit deeper into this, because then I'm not able to translate the principles of the network effect, or I can't apply it to our situation, because from my perspective, or let's put it the other way around. So what we suggest, our solution, is based on some kind of convention, and without this convention to agree on, you can't participate. So if you mean this by the network effect, that then there is a problem. But to come back to the telephone network example, there's also that was also necessary for the smaller providers to have some common things with the Bell network to be able to share it. So there's also there's also the need of having an interface to interconnect, and this is what we also need for our solution. So does this harm the network effect?
No, not at all. You're quite right. You can't solve the network effect without, you can't efficiently solve it without some agreement between the tool providers, or the, as you put it, plugin developers. But just to speak of functionality, the service providers. So, and this is one of the things. And in my last email, I mentioned to you that, for example, in order to solve the network effect in the position forming, which is where people agree on things, and and stuff, or what I call primary voting. In order to solve that, we need something very much like disco underneath in order to do it. So there's definitely things that we would have to work on in common together, even if your primary concern isn't this, isn't enabling these, excuse me, these. They're expected to enable these open primaries and the freedom of movement among the specifically position-forming tools for political purposes and things. So I don't know what your larger aim is in terms of that. But then, of course, we got into some of that in the discussion. But just to say, yes, definitely we'd have to agree on things like standards and stuff like that.
Okay, so this makes me happy. So from time to time.
Sorry, I thought you knew that. I would have mentioned that right away. I thought you knew. Well, you haven't been able to keep up with the emails, perhaps. There've been so many recently.
Yeah, so it's a lot of reading, and from time to time I have, I told you already, and I wrote it in an email, problems with my English and then understanding the stuff and translating it from English to German and back, and so sometimes I feel like lost in translation, and then it's hard for me to get the right idea, and then I'm not sure if I got it wrong or if I got it right, and now I think that I got it right, and
I'm happy to have a chance to talk together to sort out those things, because you're so right. It's so easy, and not just between English and German. It's like this all throughout the whole field day. People don't understand each other because often they feel that they're fighting against each other, and they have no desire to. So they don't put in a little bit of extra effort to try and work together.
Yeah.
And you know this because this is your main focus. That's exactly what has to happen in this field. Is the technical people have to start working together. Otherwise, it's hopeless. It's going nowhere.
Yeah, that's true. So we have to join forces. And otherwise, every project will stuck in one situation or will stuck in one point of time, and didn't come further the road because there's too less power. Most of us are doing all those volunteer, and we have also most of us families, jobs, whatever. So to join forces.
Exactly.
To join forces is absolutely necessary to go one step beyond what we have now. And what we have now, from my perspective, is it's like a bit in the old days of when the time of the horses fade out and the automobiles appeared on the screen. On the scene, and so the first automobiles looked like horse buggies, you know. So
Yeah.
so and I feel we are currently in this same situation. Everything looks like we expected it to be in the past. So we need to step in front, and we need to go one or two steps further, and this is just possible when we join our forces and work together.
Yes, I agree, definitely. And I think that's what we have to do. And I think there's all kinds of opportunity for us, like between, say, Votorola and you guys in the AG to work together. But certainly the thing that comes to mind right off the bat for me is disco. Because as I mentioned, you might not have read the email, Christian has placed a P2P data synchronization layer at the bottom of what I call vote mirroring.
Yeah.
That we need in order to eliminate the network effect among the voting tools. So we need this synchronization layer, and Disco seems to fit. I haven't looked into the details, just your diagram. But so there's right off the bat, to me, that's an example. And I think there are things that we can do that would benefit you guys as well.
Yeah, okay. Cool. So to be honest, there are not much more details. So we are fairly young organizational structure, and we just know we are talking about all those stuff yet 1.5 year, which is also a long time. But the first year nearly we struggled around with finding a common sense, and now the common sense we put it in our vision or in die Grundidee. And this is this was a hard journey to get this consensus. And now we're in a phase where we are currently more trying to find a way to prototype this idea. And we split it into several groups, and one group is dealing with developing plugin, which is a Probl platform, and another group is dealing with the Disco architecture itself, and a third group is dealing with the ontology, which from our perspective is this main structure to agree on with all the others, because what's from our perspective, it's not just about switching the tools. So if you want to have, if you start writing something in a notepad, and then after 1 hour of typing, you recognize, okay, I want to format my fonts, and I want to have some color in it, and maybe I want to introduce a table or whatever. So Notepad is no longer sufficient. So I need to move over to Word, for example, to have more features, to have more abilities to format my text. And then I just hit copy paste, and I'm done. But this is only possible because of the communication layer between the Notepad and the Word application, so that the data can pass the boundaries. And this is what we also need for all the plugins or services, or however we will name them, or how we will call them. We need something which is able to transport information. And from Disco perspective, this is the ontology.
Okay, that definitely applies to us, at least in terms of the infrastructure. That example of copy and paste is essentially what vote mirroring is. It's just copying information from one service to another. And I understand too as well, and I thought mostly your focus was on when a user moves from one, say, plugin to another for the same function, that user should be able to tow or pull or carry along with him or her the data that's associated with her as a user, preferences and things like that.
And also discussions. So when I start a discussion or a discourse in one tool, and at one point in time I find out, okay, this tool will not longer be sufficient for my needs, so I need to switch to another tool. Then I also want to be my data of the discourse, all the arguments, all the pros and cons, all the discussions, I want them to be already in the other tool. I don't want to re-enter them, or I don't want to copy-paste them, but I want them just to be there.
When switching from a tool that, for example, contains discussion data, for example, then that would be some of the data that goes across.
Yes.
I think I understand.
Yes.
Okay.
So because in the whole process of decision making, there will be there will be a trillion of different plugins, tools, services, whatever you name it, with different functionality and different focuses. And there will also be plugins or tools with the same intention. And so it will not always be possible to move all data over to another tool because of other focus or other functionality or whatever. But our goal is that all tools, all services, all plugins, however we name them, agree on this. I try to name it the common discussion standard, which contains the ontology and a kind of API which enables the systems to communicate and to transfer data, and to synchronize data and to search for. So in terms of a peer-to-peer network, it's just a kind of protocol. And this is what we need to agree on between all the developers of the services to be able to cooperate. And then it might be the fact that, or it might be the case that one tool is not interested in all the data which is available in the Disco sphere. I don't want to. So Disco is more about a sphere, so it's all over the internet, and there are trillions of nodes of Disco instances, and it's not about one single platform somewhere on one server, but it's a broad spread system. It's a peer-to-peer network, and,
Sure,
and not all tools might be interested in all data that is available in the sphere. So they will filter out what they need to present to the user, and also just let the user enter those data which the tool is focused on. So and therefore there's not always a one-to-one mapping between all those data and functionalities, but the idea is to have an agreement on all those areas where the same interest is.
Sure, I understand. And I see that this is compatible. I see that the kind of tools I work with, and more specifically the count engine and the vote server, which is we work with all kinds of tools, but more specifically that one where the network effects apply. We need these two things that you seem to support. One is what you mentioned is kind of like the copy paste sort of data transfer, bulk data and that kind of thing. We need that functionality. We also need the one where, of course, users switch from one primary voting, position forming tool to another and need to carry over their preferences and everything else that's associated with that, with those two tools. So these two things are things that we also need. The first one, the copy paste one, we need it in probably a different way than you've pictured. But from everything you've told me so far, this Disco a layer or cloud or peer-to-peer network overlay network is going to be able to handle that functionality just as well. And my hope is that we could use it to implement the vote mirroring, which is currently the only way known to eliminate the network effect between the primary voting tools.
Yeah, okay. Unfortunately, I do not know much about how Votorola works. So I know there's a lot of reading, but unfortunately, I run shortly out of time.
That's okay, but because it's not about Votorola, it's about there's 43 different primary voting tools out there in the world, and we want to eliminate the network effect among all of them. And so it's not focused on Votorola at all.
Okay, one question, Mike. Are you already in contact with the other ones?
Yes, to some degree, as much as I can. It's hard, they're competitors, and just like those problems of cooperation that we spoke of before, and misunderstanding, and also diverging interests. So we've never been able to get to agree voluntarily, I mean, without being paid. We have some who agree if there's money to start work on this, but we've never been able to bring two projects together yet to implement the prototype for this.
Okay, and you think the main reason for this is that there is still competition in between the tools?
There's competition, yes, and diverging interests, yeah, and the normal egos, people. it's they're all competitors, all these tools. They don't work with each other.
Okay, do you have an idea how to overcome this?
Well, I was hoping we could start, you and I, because there's a lot there. I'm sure that you have, because I've seen the picture, you do have some voting functionality within the AG. And aside from that, there's also the fact that you guys are interested in getting projects to cooperate. So I was thinking, if we cooperate with you, that's a good first step.
That's true. So this is what we want to achieve. So we want to go to all of these projects out there and poke them and ask them to join and try to explain our vision. And in this terms, our vision is mainly the cooperation. So it's not about eliminating network effects or even to get a better primary voting platform or whatever. That's not our first goal.
Sure, but that's our first goal, and I think we can cooperate and because there's a lot in common, even though we have a slightly different focus.
Yeah, absolutely. Because to be honest, I think what Disco can achieve is more like the underlying framework for that what you want to achieve.
Exactly, I think so too.
So and this is what we want to try to achieve. So would you say that in one respect or the other, liquid feedback is in your same domain like Votorola?
It could be, but currently it's not. You guys use it as a decision system. You don't use it as a primary system, which is always advisory and more focused on discussion and consensus and mutual agreement. And you guys have noticed that it doesn't quite fit that. It doesn't quite work so well for that. It could if it were changed. And then you thought, well, okay, so we need something else other than that. If I understand, you picture it more as a decision system.
Yes. So what's currently going on with liquid feedback? It's a long story, but to make it short, so there are some small projects which try to refactor the liquid feedback, not just the sources, but there's also a refactoring of the principles. And what is currently in the Pirate Party of Germany a big discussion, I think you got it already, is the permanent member assembly. So what we want to achieve is that everyone can participate in the assemblies, not just twice a year at one town hall somewhere in the middle of Germany or in the south or the east or the west or the north or wherever, and you need to travel. But we want to enable all party members to participate all the time, whenever they have time, in the assembly and discuss and also vote. And what I need to understand from you is what exactly do you mean by primary voting? What does it mean?
That means where people discuss among each other and try and reach agreement primary to a decision that comes later.
Okay, so yeah, this is what we are mainly talking in AG Meinungsfindungstool also. And currently this is what liquid feedback is also, but it does not fit for all those discussion stuff. So it was implemented more like that you really make the decision. And
right. Yes.
that there are several problems with I don't know how you deal with the problems about the computer voting problem, so that there's no real trust in computers and stuff like this. And so when you look at our picture, the first and the second system, so the big picture, the information system and the discussion system, currently is truly implemented in some tools and whatever. But the third one, the resolution system, is still the real life member assembly. And this is the only place currently where the Pirate Party can really make resolutions that are then brought into the programs or whatever. So there's no tool or platform or whatever to replace the real life member assembly currently. But this is where small projects inside the Pirates are working on.
And if I get two functions from that, and maybe I don't need to understand this in detail, but one function I get from the permanent assembly you mentioned is resolutions, so I just translate that, that's decisions. And then the other in an assembly is always discussion. But I guess I just have to picture it like kind of like the Bundestag, right? Or parliament. It's a parliament just for the pirate parties. Is that kind of what it is?
Yeah, but to enable all members to participate. So currently we are
all members.
All members. So we are a base democratic party. And our problem is that we can't fulfill the aims of the base democratic participation. Because if we have a real life assembly somewhere, then it is about time, it is about space, room, so you need to travel, and it is about money, because you need to travel. So there are a lot of restrictions which restrict members to participate in the member assembly. So this is against our main principle of being a base democratic.
Sure.
Or basis democratic. Yeah.
Well, I guess technically I picture this permanent assembly that you talk about. I don't think it can be a single system at all. It seems to be the big picture that you're drawing here. That's the permanent assembly, isn't it?
Yes.
Of course, yes. There. So yeah, we understand each other then, because that's the same in the real world. I mean, there's the Bundestag and that, which is supposed to be the whole thing, but it can't be when you want people to participate. And we, you and I, have to treat the Bundestag as a decision system, separate. Right. And there has to be discussion ahead of time. And then the members in the Bundestag, they do pass the decision, because that's what the basic law says.
Right.
Okay, so we have the same picture, you and I think.
Yeah, so, and then we are back in the discussion that if this is established, the parties can vanish. All parties can vanish, because then there's the discussion is upfront, and also the parties the decision is just an act of formal agreement.
Yes, and the content for that agreement is agreed to earlier within the especially the discussion aspect.
Absolutely. Great. So I'm very happy. So now the question is, what's next? So yeah,
I have one worry. I have one worry that before we finish talking, I want to bring up, and that has to do with what you mentioned about the parties vanishing and all that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure, and you might have had time to read some of the discussions, that if we do eliminate this network effect between a few tools, and then we do one of the most interesting things that you can do once you've done that, which is open electoral primaries. There are two kinds of these. One is to decide who the candidates will be for the Bundestag, like a candidate list, but for the whole Bundestag. And then the other is the executive electoral primary to decide who should be the chancellor and the foreign minister and so forth. And as soon as we eliminate the network effect between two tools, as soon as we enable users to move between two tools that have some voting basis to agree, reach primary agreement on these two issues, and then at that point the party system is going to be in trouble, and this applies to the Pirate Party as well. So this is a concern I have. I think you probably already understand this from the discussion, but and of course I'm talking to a pirate right now, and I'm talking to the whole Pirate Party, and I understand you guys don't all have to think exactly the same. But I just want to make sure that you yourself and the people you work with day to day are going to be comfortable with that, because that's the aim in a large part for myself and what I'm driving at with this, because we have parties here too, and we don't, and they kind of get in the way of things in Canada, just as in Germany and stuff. They're part of the problem, and this is how I picture them.
Yeah, and this is how we see it in AG Meinungsfindungstool, at least. Yes, you're speaking to a pirate right now, and I think my opinion and my vision is agreed on by the AG Meinungsfindungstool, but not by the whole Pirate Party Germany, or even Pirate Party International, or all the pirates. So there are big fights going on inside the party. So there are those who want, like AG Meinungsfindungstool, that the pirates are just there temporarily for a short period of time to enable some things, because we need some regulations, we need some administrative organizational stuff, we need to have someone in the Bundestag to be able to change laws, and then if this is fulfilled, then there is no longer a need for the Pirate Party anymore. And others are saying this is total bullshit. The Pirate Party is indeed forever needed and will never be vanished, and also neither the other parties will. And so there's a permanent fight going forth and back, and don't know who will win. But at the end, what we are doing, at least here at AG Meinungsfindungstool, is exactly what you described. So we want to eliminate the network effect. We want to enable the users to freely choose whatever toolset they want. And, of course, at the end, we want the pirates to vanish.
Okay, so you wouldn't have any problem with these open electoral primaries that I described being run, because they would run on top of Disco, for example.
Yeah, so this is what we want to have. We want to... So, there's never the chance to let all the people participate, because you can't force them to participate. So, but what we want to enable is a system that everyone who wants to participate can. And currently we are in a system. Even if you want to participate, you can't.
Exactly.
You need to. You need to take some hurdles. You need to, you need to found a party. You need to be elected. Whatever. There's a lot to do until you can get to the power. And we want to bring the power back to the people. Okay, not back, because people never had the power, but we want to enable the people to have the power over making their laws and so that's what AG Meinungsfindungstool is mainly about.
Sure. Okay. I don't think we have any disagreement there. The only other thing that I would emphasize is that it could happen very fast, because and you probably haven't had time to follow the arguments recently with I was explaining more in detail with Alex. It's just as in, you cannot have these open electoral primaries in any party, not even in the Pirate Party. And they'll attract party members from all parties, including like SPD and the Union, for example, will participate. They'll have to participate in the open primaries. They'll feel the pressure to do it in order to prop up their own candidates. And because of this, it could happen very fast. For example, probably if we do work together, and in working together, I think we'll attract developers. Probably the parties will start to fall apart before your next election in 2017. I think that's the next Bundestag election after this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So people would be, starting this year, perhaps, or certainly by next year, people will actually be voting in these open electoral primaries, agreeing amongst themselves on who's going to be in the 2017 Bundestag, who's going to be the chancellor, the foreign minister, and thousands of other appointments within the government. Things that they cannot do today anywhere, and that they could not even possibly do within even a pirate party.
Okay, let me stop you here. Unfortunately, I was not able to read all those arguments between you and Alex, because it was a lot of reading, man. And to bring it to the point, personally, so I don't know how long it will take, and I have no problem with if it will be tomorrow, so that's okay. But I don't think so. But that's a different discussion, and for me, it's the earlier the better. And let's try to make it happen.
Okay, I think those are the only concerns that I really had. And then there's another one which perhaps we won't have time to talk about today, and that is, we might leave that. So I was wondering whether you guys did actually have a tool right now, one of your plugins or Probable or something, that actually does have some voting capability, if you're voting on texts or anything like that, that's currently working.
Nope. No.
Okay.
So Probable is focused on the process of problem solving. So it's mainly not about voting itself. So it's more about collecting the information, the pros and cons, all the arguments, all the facts, and the whatever you need to
I understand.
Form your own position. And it's not primarily about voting.
Okay, and what about, is Q consensus still in there? Because my understanding of that was that it had some ability to indicate consensus.
What tool? I didn't get it.
I think it was called Q consensus. There was a fellow working on it. He was an engineer.
Yeah, so the Q consensus, it's how to put it. It's not an implementation right now, so it's a theory. And what we try to achieve is to combine or to enhance Probable with the theory of the Q consensus. And so this is currently stopped because Wolfgang, which is the inventor of Kukonsens currently is he needed a break and
Okay.
has a
Yeah, I
short time
suppose.
off. So there's currently no progress in this. But what we have is a few concepts and a few less implementations. So we have fundiert entscheiden, which is an implementation based on MediaWiki, which is same or close to Probl, which are both focused on the problem-solving process.
Okay, so you have your two plugins there to experiment with, I see. Okay.
Yes, but they are mainly in the same area, so they share the same domain. And we are looking forward to include Votorola and other. So what we are with one small project which is now starting right now, 1 or 2 weeks ago, which tries to re-implement liquid feedback and to implement it as a Java application. And so we are close in cooperation with this guy who started the project right now. And we also want to integrate liquid feedback into our sphere, in our Disco sphere as a Disco plugin. And this is maybe where then Votorola kicks in and where we can do, here is it's more about primary voting now. It's no more about the process of problem solving and how to find the right answer to a question, but now it's more about giving a vote to the one or the other alternative, and this is then maybe where also Votorola and liquid feedback sharing the same domain and can act as an example of sharing data and also users to enable switching users from Votorola to liquid feedback and back. And so this is more, then we have the two Probl and fundiert entscheiden more as to preparing the discussion and to gathering all the informations and giving nice overviews and graphical stuff, graphical representations of don't know whatever argument paths and stuff like this, and then switching over at one point in time to the primary voting tools to see, now we have a lot information, we have enough information to make our decision, and now we want to do that.
Except not a decision, right? It's still just discussion, because you can't use Votorola, for example, to make a decision.
Yeah, so when I talk about decision, so this is why we called the last one, the third system, resolution system, to make it so there is also a decision before it comes really to a resolution. So de facto, you already mentioned it the same, that if the discussion goes far enough, then it's near to a conclusion. It's near to a agreement, and therefore it's near to a decision. So even if it's not formally not the right decision or the legal decision right now, so you need to fulfill the formal process of make it really a resolution, but it's close to it already. So, and this is what I mean. So at the end, also Votorola will have the ability to say, we have a decision here, isn't it?
Not really. It's more to support discussion, like you talked about with Probl. So it would run in parallel with Probl, and the two would work together. Because Probl is for formal argumentation, and Votorola doesn't deal with that, although there are some parts of it that have a little bit of that in it. They can be even considered separate, like the difference bridge, for example, that Votorola uses.
Okay.
But we're more about consensus building, They're never about decision. So that always when the discussion's going on, you know who agrees and who doesn't, and who you're talking to and why often, because you see there's disagreement, for example. So Votorola is the thing that shows the agreement and the disagreement just in a formal way, which can shift over time. So it's a continuous process. And the idea is that being able to see who agrees and who doesn't, and what all the different positions are and all that kind of thing, being able to see that makes it that helps the discussion to go along.
Okay, so that's then we have a lot of consensus building tools. That's okay. That's a good starting point. So because I don't know if you know about wiki arguments, which is also trying to playing on this field. And then maybe there's something like what we are also using in the Pirate Party Germany is a Lime survey. So, which is like a poll more or less, or even a survey, and this is maybe then in the same domain more or less than liquid feedback is, but doesn't matter. So what is more important is that we have no really show-stopping concerns here. So neither you nor me. And that we can think about the next steps, how to collaborate and how to cooperate and to work together. And so I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, I agree. There's no showstoppers, I guess, right now. I'll tell you, the next thing that I would have to do myself is to find that other project, so that we could so that we can open up between the two tool sets that are concerned more with primary voting. So we'd have to find that one, and then after that we could look at what's there in Disco and what we have to do to get that working, because we need that pretty early in order to be able to prototype.
Okay, I see. So yes. Okay, so from our point of view, our next steps is mainly to focus on the Disco prototype itself. And in conjunction with this, we will force the ontology into a more specific shape, and also the web API. And maybe we will come to you back with some questions of, so I think in one place you already had a look on the eDialogos ontology.
Yes.
Where you say, okay, you can find some, for example, the position or whatever, which is also built inside your system. And so currently we are not taking over the whole eDialogos ontology, but we are working on a first draft of our ontology, or of the Disco ontology. And then if this is in a first draft, then we, as a discussion basis, then we can, or then we would like to come back to you and ask you, hey, is there everything or anything in the ontology that you can use? And tell us what you need more, and then we start to discuss about this thing. So this is what us what is the most important for us currently, you know?
Right. And so the ontology, and I guess that would apply first to us, not necessarily for the vote mirroring, because I have to get the other tool set together and we work out how to use Disco for that, but for the user going from one platform to another, for example, in terms of the ontology.
Right.
Carrying their data back and forth and across.
Right. So this is what we are putting our main focus on, because even if you can switch the tools in the front end, so that you can have, don't know, one portal page where then you can easily switch from one tool to the other seamlessly, then there's still the data lag, and this is what we are most focused on, that the user have also his data in the different tool, and then how to switch it on the front end, that's a less prioritized task for us.
Okay. And so let's see. I have a feeling that you will need some help in the way of developers to actually implement the Disco implementation, so that we could begin to use it. Is that the case, or do you have developers now? Or
So we are currently two developers starting to implementing it with a rapid development prototype. Using Microsoft technology currently, but that doesn't matter. So the outcome of the prototype is mainly the ontology and the web API, which is totally technology independent and can be implemented by any programming language, environment, whatever you can think of. So we are just starting with some Microsoft technology, because we have two developers that are very familiar with that, and so it's just a prototype to prove the functionality of the ontology and the web API. But the more developers, the better. So there's always the constraint of time on it, and we are all volunteers, as I mentioned already. And so the more developers, the better. We are currently on Codeplex, and unfortunately, I didn't have the time already to put a good description of the project there, but I would like to try to attract some developers there directly on the codeplex.com. And there are mainly Microsoft developers around there. And I also poked already a few of my colleagues and friends, and let's see. So I think, that's always a problem to have enough developers, but it's not that we can't start. So we have two good guys in place already, but the more the better.
what would be involved in, because Votorola, for example, runs on Linux. Would that entail me setting up a Microsoft server or something to be able to use that, or
No.
would that be a service that you guys provide and I could just connect to it across these web APIs, for example?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Don't focus on technology. So we are totally open, and what we want to achieve is a common discussion standard, and that contains of the ontology and the web API. And what we are doing currently is kind of so the prototype might evolve into a reference implementation, but not more, not less. So Disco is not bound to any technology. It's just bound to the ontology and the web API, and you can implement that with Python, with COBOL, if you wish, or with .NET, C#, like we do it for the prototype, or you can do it with C++ or with Java or whatever.
And so there, I imagine, so I'd be implementing a P2P node to be able to fit within Disco. So I would code that myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I don't see a problem there then, because that's something we would have to do anyway, it sounds like. So we just try and make that fit within the Disco architecture, which hopefully is going to give us some conveniences later, in terms of, because we got to use that anyway for the data portability for users and other things. Okay, so that sounds good. So really
what we plan to do also is to provide some plugins for WordPress and Drupal and Joomla, and so you can also make your Joomla or WordPress installation to turn into a Disco node.
Okay, sure.
So this will help the guys who are not able to implement or to program at least. And of course, at some point in time, maybe there will be a Java or PHP implementation, and then you can just download the package, install it to your machine, and everything is fine. But currently we lack of those skills. We just have C# developers here, and we will start with ASP.NET MVC stuff, and just refer to it as a reference implementation. It's nothing you really should care about. It's it's all about the ontology and the web API.
Except for us, we actually have to transfer the data right away to eliminate that network effect. So
you need to.
But it's not a problem coding, because as long as you provide us with the API, then and the documentation, then we can code.
Yes,
we have no problem with that.
And we need to agree on that. So this is where we need to achieve consensus. So we need to agree on the ontology and the web API also. So this is a process where we need to shape our needs and to find out what is necessary to communicate and to synchronize the data and stuff like this.
Okay, so that's one thing I can help with right away on your side, is that I can look at what you have. If you can get that information to me, the design spec, for example, I can look at that and translate and interpret that in terms of the two needs I have.
Yeah.
One, which is the same as yours, the user portability, and then the other is this ability to transfer these voting data across.
Yes, what we don't have in place already is something about the web API. So what we have is a first draft of the ontology. So this is what entities we see inside the discourse sphere, and this was the only thing which is documented right now.
Okay, maybe I could speak to Christian too, because he has more familiarity with P2P stuff than I do, in terms of things that are out there like BitTorrent and stuff like that.
Okay,
and he might be able to help a bit with the API thing.
Yeah, that would be cool, because we have no great expertise in building such web APIs, and we have also no expert dealing with the P2P stuff already. So any help is appreciated.
Okay, I think I could definitely help with there. And for my part, where I may need a bit of help is in bringing another project in to eliminate that network effect between two tools.
Do you have already a candidate?
I have a few names that I can mention. I could send you some more information after we talk. These are people who expressed an interest during that Night News Challenge, for example. There are a few projects there. Also, you mentioned that you're in communication with somebody forking liquid feedback. Is that you mentioned that earlier?
Yeah. But this is more. Yeah, we can also try to get them into the play.
If they're interested.
Yes, so this is the liquid feedback project is splitted into or devoted into several single streams right now, and we have contact to one of them, and so there is also the willing of collaboration and stuff like this, but they are right at the start now. So they started the first thinking about this 2 weeks ago. So there's nothing to expect in the next 2 or 3 or 4 months, So they need some time. But this is the ones which want to port this implementation to Java. And so we would like to be close in touch with them to agree on the Disco ontology and the Disco Web API. And what's about Wilfredo?
It's too small scale. You can't use that for voting on laws and things like that, or candidate lists or anything. It's just for small questions.
Okay.
Like what movies should we go and see and things like that.
Okay. So then send me a list, because I'm, as I tried to explain, to figure out, to point out at the beginning of our talk, we do not much care about the methodology in itself. So for us, it's more about to enable the projects to cooperate. So I do not know much about those domain, and so it would be good to if you could send me some interesting or other projects where you would like to cooperate with, and maybe we find a way together to attract them to join our collaboration and to join forces. So this is what I could say.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Yeah, I'll send you that information. It's perfect. Yeah, it's a very difficult thing. So I just, if there's something you can do in there, that would be helpful. But if we are working together, then that gives me another argument to present to these other guys too, as well on for my own part. So I think that'll help as well. So hopefully we can. Hopefully this will pull together.
Yeah, that's also my hope. So, and I think as far as I can see, we are together right now, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm
Okay.
very hopeful. I think we could turn this into something now.
Hey, yeah, cool. So, Mike, unfortunately, I run out of time now. I appreciate the talk a lot, and thank you very much for your time, and also for your patience with my struggling with
No.
words and stuff like this, and sometimes with my lack of understanding, and so thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for taking the time to talk. Okay, Mark, I will send you that information separately, and get in touch together soon again.
Yeah, great. So you're always welcome, and let's stay in touch with email, and then if the need arises, then we can do a mumble chat. So for me, it's always best on Fridays. So I'm at home office right now, and so we will see.
Okay, sounds good. Have a good weekend.
Same to you. See you. Cheers.
Cheers.